Hi there, welcome. We're at Insurance Telematics USA and I'm with Christopher Dell with IMS. Christopher, how are you doing?
Very good, thank you.
Good stuff. Chris, could I ask actually for you to introduce yourself and just give a brief explanation as to sort of what your role is and what IMS's role in for the connected car and the insurance industry?
Sure. So my name is Christopher Dell. I run the product management, product development organization, and we're a connected car company, very focused in a number of different verticals, including usage-based insurance. And so obviously we're down here talking about the latest technology that we have.
Sure. Now you're going to be speaking at the conference here today. Could I just ask you to explain a little bit about what that topic is and why are we talking about it today? Why is it so pertinent?
Yeah, so one of the things that we're talking about, we actually have a case study with a customer talking about their experiences implementing it. And we've done this a couple of times at the show, and we find it's a really good format that people are really interested in hearing, not just from a technology provider, but actually from somebody who's been in their shoes and understands what's going on. So that's one of the sessions that we're doing.
Okay, fantastic. We've got a great lineup of speakers here, and we're covering a lot of different topics. Is there a particular speaker or company or topic that you're interested in hearing about?
So I always love to hear what some of the big insurance companies are talking about. The keynote, I would love to hear what Robin's talking about from Towers Watson. Those are some of the highlights for me that I'm keen to see.
Okay, fantastic. Now, IMS have been coming to the conference for how many years now?
A number of years.
A number of years.
A number of years. I can't even remember how far back.
Okay, fantastic. So, in your experience, then, I mean, we've heard about a few milestones that certain providers have reached today, and partnerships that have come through. What do you see as being the factors that have contributed to the development of the industry, and as brought us to where we are today?
So, I think one of the big things that we've seen is a real transition. So, it's not about how do we do this, if we should do this. It's now about a transition of, okay, how do we optimize the overall experience? What we're seeing here today is reflecting and echoing the conversations that we have around how do we make this work? How do we make the economics work around UVI? How do we use mobile as some of that technology?
Sure, okay. We have a few big topics that are sort of affecting and disrupting the insurance telematics industry. A big topic would be the Internet of Things. Everything in a world where everything is connected, we're getting a lot of data that has obvious sort of use cases for insurance telematics. I was just going to ask, how do you sort of adapt as a business to incorporate this huge amount of data, and what do you do with it?
So I think there's a couple of things. I think when we talk about IoT, the Internet of Things, and I think when we start looking at the prevalence of that technology in the home, there's the same opportunity that we had 10 years ago from an insurance perspective with automotive. So with the Internet of Things, all of a sudden we've got smart home smoke detectors, CO detectors, water leakage detectors that now we can start plugging into and start to look at how do we monitor that? How do we reduce the risk for loss? How do we help consumers understand how they can protect themselves? And so it's opening up, and I see a parallel to what we were going through 10 years ago from the auto side, now happening on the home side. We also see it happening on the lifestyle side as well, where things like your Fitbits or your fitness trackers, being able to provide proactive guidance to them in terms of making those right choices. Not unlike what we're doing today from a driving experience, making them, giving them those coaching messages.
Okay. We've seen in the past the need for insurance carriers and service providers in the space to access and talk to the automakers to get access to the onboard vehicle data. It seems we're turning a corner now. We've heard from GM and Progressive and GM's involvement obviously with Verisk as well. What do you see as being sort of contributing to that development, and how do you see the relationship between the automakers and the rest of the insurance telematics ecosystem moving forward? So
I think it's a couple of things. I think the automotive OEMs have been trying to figure out what their broader telematics strategy is, and insurance being one of those angles. Because we're a connected car company, we're having multiple conversations with them. One of the big areas is around that dealer space, right? Where a dealer, for example, isn't making a lot of money in terms of selling the car. It's about the service for the car. And if a major brand can get a consumer in and consistently in a set of products, then that's a big advantage for them, and so that's one piece of it. So they've been, I think, taking a more holistic strategy to it, and then figuring out as well how does insurance fit into it. they're playing that delicate balance, right? They obviously want to enrich the overall driving experience, but they don't want to have that to be. They don't want it to be negative. They don't want to all of a sudden give the consumer experience too much to an insurance party. We see the same battle that they had with Google and Apple, right? They don't want to, forego that.
Sure. Okay, so we've got a lot of insurance carriers at the conference today and tomorrow. What do you think now the insurance carriers should be putting forward as the value proposition to their customers to have a UVI program?
Great question. I think there's a couple different things. I think primarily to the consumer, it's about, hey, how do we? It's not about just gathering data. It's about how do we help you make those right choices.
Yeah.
Doing it in a meaningful way, right? How do we make sure you understand the risk that you may be undertaking and how they can improve it? The smart insurance companies will be doing that and looking at it very proactively. How can we use technology to grow our customer base, to get the right set of customers? But they have to make sure they're thinking about it from the perspective of that customer, of the consumer. Consumers are very savvy. They understand things like adverse selection. They understand these different factors, and we can't discount that.
Sure. Okay. And then just finally, you're here with us for the 2 days. IMS have a car demo outside. We're showing some pretty cool stuff. Do you want to talk about that actually briefly?
Yeah. So there's a number of things we're showing in our connected car demo. This is the second year we've done it. We've kind of enhanced it. So we're not only showing what we can do from a connected car and insurance perspective, we're also looking at what we can do from an Internet of Things and that lifestyle piece. So what's my fitness to drive, right? As a concept, how would my car interact with my home? And how does that play in terms of more comprehensive story, that an insurer could put together when they're looking at a auto, home, and life kind of policy?
Okay. IMS are a prime sponsor for Insurance Telematics USA. What is it that you yourself and IMS as a company would want to be taking away from attending this event?
Well, I think this show continues to be that meeting point where everybody comes together. And you see a lot of the same faces, you see some new faces, but it's a great opportunity to be able to do within a very short window, to be able to get that readout of the industry, to be able to get that status check. And it mirrors some of the conversations that we're having, but it's also a great opportunity to bring in a single spot, for example, that connected car demo, to be able to do something where it may be not feasible to have everybody fly up to Waterloo, Ontario to see our car. We can bring it down here and we can have people experience that and have some of those conversations that they wouldn't normally be able to have.
Okay, fantastic. Well, Chris, it was a pleasure having you, and glad to have you at Insurance Telematics USA, and I hope you have a good time at the show.
Great, thank you very much.
Thank you.